G'day everyone. Alrighty, time for another book review. Just do a quick one at work. Now, just finished reading this one. The riveting read, Fluoride by Barry Groves. Alright, now, if you're new to this idea, this concept, this knowledge, I'll let you know, I'll give it to you nice and quick, short and sharp. Fluoride, really bad for you, terrible. It's a toxic waste poison. It's in our water supply. It's in a lot of dental products like toothpaste. It's in a lot of food, and it absolutely shouldn't be. It's literally a toxic poison. Now I knew all of this before I started reading the book. I purchased the book and read it purely for the sole purpose of highlighting a lot of key things that would stand out in the hope of waking someone up who believes everything the government tells them. So wish me luck with that. But I'm very glad that I did get this book and I read it because I learned a lot of new things about fluoride myself that I wasn't previously aware of. I knew that it was really bad. I knew that it was poison. I knew that it was toxic waste from the fertilizer industry, but I didn't know a lot of other things. So it was really interesting to learn. One of the things, for example, is that fluoride is more readily absorbed by the body when taking a bath in bath water rather than even drinking it. Imagine that. There you go. I would have thought, yeah, ingesting it would have been the worst way it can get into your body, but actually gets in more from having a bath, absorbed via the skin. I learned some other interesting things, like, for example, there has never, ever been a study done on the safety of the fluoride that they put in the water system. In all tests that they've done very poorly, terrible tests, by the way, by the pro fluoridation people, they've used a different type of fluoride. They've used either sodium fluoride or calcium fluoride. They haven't actually used what goes into our water supply, which is, I think it's hexafluorosilicate, and it's really terrible stuff. Another really interesting thing to note, that just bumped into my head. I don't know if I can find the page, but there was a page early on in the book that showed and detailed what actually goes in our water, and that it's not actually even fluoride. Like, of the fluoride that they put in our water system, only about 19% of it is fluoride, and the rest is other stuff like arsenic, cadmium, some other heavy metals and stuff. I really want to find this bit now because that was really interesting. Another really cool thing, well, not cool, but another interesting thing that I found in this book that I had no idea about is that tea contains a lot of fluoride, and that's because of often the water that is used to water the plants where the tea is grown. So it gets into the tea leaves and gets into our tea, and if you have a cup of tea, you're often taking in a lot more fluoride than drinking a glass of water. So really interesting stuff, really terrible stuff, really. There's a whole chapter in this book on cancer. There are many, many links between fluoride and cancer. So, yeah, look, like, what to say? It's just really, really bad stuff. It accumulates in your body, and your body doesn't really, it can get rid of it to a point as it's going in, but then it gets up to a point where your body can't get rid of it, and then it just starts accumulating the bone, and it just stays there. So it accumulates in bone. It causes skeletal fluorosis, which is a weakening of all the bones in the body, basically, which can lead to osteoporosis, osteosarcoma, I think that's what it's called. Bunch of other bad things, hip fractures and all that sort of thing, knee replacements, etc., arthritis. All of these things tend to go up in countries where it's fluoridated. Um, It also calcifies our pineal gland. So that's a big one. That's a really important one. Pineal gland, third eye, amazing little gland in the body, responsible for many awesome things. Google it, check that out, dive down that path. That's really interesting. But fluoride calcifies that, so it hardens it and makes it unable to work properly. I really want to find this part that I highlighted that states what exactly is in it. Oh, I don't know what I said before, the big word, but it's actually, I think, hydrofluorosilicate. hexafluorosilicic acid, or yeah, but I think it is hexafluoride silicate that gets added to the water system. Fluoride, by the way, is the history of fluoride. This is another really cool thing that the book breaks down. It breaks down the history of fluoride and sort of explains how it ended up getting into our water supply. So it is a toxic waste product of, first it was the smelting industry, so like aluminium smelting and other metals. When they were smelting them, the fluoride was a toxic waste product. And rather than having to get rid of it properly, which, by the way, fluoride is classed as a poison. The EPA defines it as a poison. It is not permitted by law to be diverted into the air. It's classed as an air pollutant. It's classed as a water pollutant, so it cannot be diverted into natural, like streams, creeks, waterways, because it's classed as a poison. Yet they're just chucking it straight into our water supply. And then, after the aluminium and the metal smelting industries, then phosphate fertilizer came along as a big industry, especially in America. And fluoride is also a toxic waste product from that industry. And so the companies making the fertilizer, rather than having to spend a shitload of money getting rid of the toxic waste product responsibly, they actually get paid by the government to supply fluoride that the government then adds into the water system and that the people then drink. So it's all money, it's all corruption, it's all bullshit. It's really, really bad. I might not be able to find that exact piece that I was looking for that explained the amounts and the percentage. But I think it was something like 19% only was the fluoride, which is a hexafluorosilicate, and the rest was just other stuff, other nasty chemicals, metals, heavy metals. Arsenic was in there, I know that. I remember reading that. What else is worth noting? So if you live here in Australia or America or Ireland or the UK, and you've grown up in one of those countries or New Zealand, and you've grown up watching the media, watching the TV, you will probably have this idea, conception that fluoride is just the norm and it's added to our water system to benefit us, and that it's done everywhere all over the world, and it's acknowledged universally by science to be a good thing. That's completely bullshit. That's not the case at all. In fact, it's water fluoridation is only done in like a lot of Western Anglo countries like America, England, but not to a huge extent, though they pushed for it a lot. Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia, really. The rest of the world aren't really doing it. Some parts have tried it. I think Japan experimented with it and they got rid of it because they realized it was shit. A bunch of other countries did in Europe. They experimented with it and then they got rid of it because they realized it was really bad. There's a bunch of studies that prove that it's bad. Pretty much every test that they've done on lab rats, the rats develop tumors, cancerous tumors, from being exposed to the fluoride. The fluorine. Fluorine, by the way, is the chemical element. So fluoride itself is not a chemical element. Fluoride is the chemical element. So you can look that up on the periodic table of elements. A fluoride is fluorine bonded with something else. So sodium fluoride is a common one. Calcium fluoride, but then there's a bunch of other ones. And look, it's just really, really, really bad for us. And if I can find this bit, I really want to find it, one that shows the percentage. That is a really interesting one. But look, guys, if you're already privy to the knowledge that fluoride is really, really bad for us, then you probably can save yourself the trouble of reading this book. You don't really need to. But if you're on the fence about it, or if you actually thought fluoride was good for you and you don't want to take my word for it that it's shit, go and get this book and read it. Fluoride, Drinking Ourselves to Death by Barry Groves. I want to say a big shout out and thank you to Barry Groves for putting together this book. It's an excellent work. It's really well written and well done, and it's done in a way that the layman can understand it. You know, to be super sciencey to understand it all. I finally have found the page that I wanted. All right, so I'm just going to quote directly from the book here. As such, the product is not a pure chemical. Approximately 19% is fluorine. The rest is a toxic soup containing lead, arsenic, beryllium, vanadium, cadmium, mercury, radionuclides, and of course, silicon. So there you go. It's only 19% is the fluorine, and so most of it is hexafluorosilicic acid, and it's really bad for us, guys. So yeah, don't try and avoid the fluoride if you can. So what can we do about that? How can we avoid fluoride? Well, I'm not going to lie, it's really hard if you're in a country like Australia where the water supply is fluoridated. You can avoid drinking it by using such things as filter bottles. I use this one by Earth's Water. You can buy water that contains no fluoride. I recommend Puro, which you can buy in a cask. Or maybe it's called Pure AU. I don't know, I just pronounce it Puro. You can get them in Coles. You can get them in 5 and 10 litre casks. I recommend that. You can go out to like a mountain spring somewhere and just grab a bunch of bottles, like 20 litre jugs, and just fill them up from naturally flowing springs. I'd recommend that. It is going to be hard for showers and baths. You can get a shower filter, which I've got from Well Verde. I recommend that. There's also Enagic water filter systems that you can get for your kitchen, so you can put that on attach it to your kitchen sink basically, and you can adjust the pH on those as well. So they're really cool. You can crank up the acidity for cleaning, and crank up the alkaline for other stuff, and adjust it to how you want it. So that's a really cool device you can get, and you can also get really pricey water filtration systems for your home, which I would highly recommend if you can afford it. And if you own your home, you obviously wouldn't do it if you're renting, but if you own your home, last time I checked, which was years ago, they're like $6 grand. So they're not cheap, but like that's kind of our options here. But other than that, if you're not privy to the knowledge that fluoride is absolutely terrible for us and we should be avoiding it as much as possible, check out this book, Fluoride, Drinking Ourselves to Death by Barry Groves. Thank you. Ciao. Alrighty, one thing I forgot to mention in the review, and I really should touch on it, is that this book is thoroughly researched. Okay, so Barry Groves has done an amazing job at sourcing and reading through and dissecting heaps and heaps of studies on the subject matter. He's spoken to a lot of people, both camps, both sides of the argument, if you like. And so, yeah, just in case anyone was thinking that there's a bit of a misconception with some people that the scientific community in general is all pro-fluoride and think that fluoride is great, and there's just a few conspiracy theorists who think it's bad, but that's actually not the case at all. There are heaps and heaps of scientists, dentists, toxicologists, all sorts of different scientists who are very much against fluoride and who have written papers explaining that fluoride is bad, and I guess trying to push for government legislative bodies to get rid of fluoride from our water supply. And just in touching on that, there's a whole bit at the end. It's an appendix A, which is scientific opposition to fluoride, and there is literally a huge list, pages upon pages of different scientists from different realms, toxicologists, dentists, all sorts of academic professionals who have written stuff against fluoride, explaining that it's bad. A bunch of that there, and also of note, Nobel Prize winners opposed to fluoridation. So there were some mentioned already previously in those names, but there's an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, an additional 14 here on this list of Nobel Prize winners against fluoridation. So yeah, just wanted to add that into the review, and yeah, to let you know this book is thoroughly researched. It's not just one guy's opinion on it. It's a lot of scientific data and studies from a lot of professionals all combined into the one book. And as it's a book review, I should give it a rating out of 5, right? I completely forgot about that. I did a lot of rambling and got a lot of sidetracks talking about fluoride in general, but I'm going to give it 5 stars because I think it is just an excellent book. It's extremely well written. It's a very good read, and it's written for the layman, so anyone can sort of pick this up and read it and understand it. And yeah, as I said, we don't have to be scientific to understand it. It is written for the layman, and it's just a great compilation of evidence and data for people to make up their own minds. So, that's why the book was written. That's the intended purpose of it, and I think it absolutely nails it. So I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. Good on you, Barry.